Okay, and we're live.
We are live. Evening, morning, afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you're watching this, if it's on a replay. If you're joining us live, good evening to you all. You've got myself and Simon this evening. We're going through the advanced calculators, the different types of advanced calculators that we've got, and what they're actually used for. When we say advanced calculators, what we really mean is that they're just a bit different from the standard calculators. On that side of things. But they're great aids for things like being able to fix your bets, looking at um, DDH, which is the Double Delight Hat Trick Heaven offer that Betfred do. Looking at the early payout calculator that's about for two ups. So yeah, there's a few calculators that are listed on there, and then we've got some others that are hidden away in the forum a little bit, which we'll show you on how to find those and on the different ways of using those calculators that we've got hidden away in there. The only reason that they're hidden away in there is that they just haven't made it to the mainstream calculator list as of yet. Still sort of early days for one or two of them. Some of them have been around for quite some time, but a couple that Simon's actually done himself, which are great calculators for looking at things like different handicap bets on what bets we actually need to be laying with regards to that, which is quite confusion that we do get quite a lot of the time, in all honesty, from members, and also, we'll be honest with you, from customer service staff as well. We do get confused ourselves with regards to what handicap bet needs laying off against a handicap back bet, especially when they start talking minus figures or plus figures, and the way that they can get muddled up with each other. But as always, guys, any questions at all, please fire them into us. If there's a calculator in particular that you want us to have a look at, we'll happily go through that with you. If you need us to repeat ourselves on any of the calculators that we do show you, I'm sure Simon will be more than happy to repeat himself with regards to that. So, yeah, any questions, guys, just fire them forward. And I'll hand you over to my esteemed colleague Simon to go through the first lot of calculators with yourselves.
Oh, hello. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen just so you can see what I'm looking at. And there we go. So share that and we'll go to advanced calculators. So to get to these, a simple case of just going up to tools and go down to advanced calculators. There's the standard calculator there, which is just this one, which is just the basic one we use for the standard offers. So it's basically offers that aren't that one. First one, really important to know about. Not necessarily an advanced calculator, but it's absolutely vital to know your way around, is the Fixabet calculator. Now, with all these calculators that are on the website, there are guides for them. So there's a guide there. Click on that. I'll control click on it and open a new tab. And there's a nice guide with a video about how to use the Fixabet with the written information as well. So Fixabet, very, very quickly, it's got two modes. You've also got bet type, normal or free bet, SNR. So if you've got a normal bet that's partly laid, so let's say you laid a bet and only £5 out of £15 has been fully matched. Sorry, only £5 out of £15 total lay stake has been matched, and the rest of it doesn't get matched. You would need to cancel the unmatched part and use Fixabet calculator in part lay mode. So that's what you do for this one. You just fill it in according to the guide. So I'm not going to go through this one in detail. If somebody wants to ask about it, then feel free to. The guide's the best place to start with. That's one of the modes. It's got part lay mode, as I said, normal or free bet. That is important to get the right mode there. The other one is cash out. So part lay mode is if you've underlaid it, you've not laid enough. Cash out is if you've laid too much. And basically, let's say you wanted to lay £5 and you've laid £35 instead at odds of 7. Big problem, because you've got a huge liability that's not covered by a potentially winning back bet. So you'd need to cash that out. That's an extreme case. But you'd use the cash out calculator for that. Let's say you'd say target lay stake is 5, current lay stake is 35, and then the back odds at the moment are 7. Lay as a 7.5, something like that. You'd fill it in like that, and then that's your back stake. When you're cashing out an overlaid bet if you're using the same exchange, then what you're doing is you're undoing the overlaid part. You wouldn't need to deposit this money into your account, the £32.14. You just basically undo the overlaid stake. So your balance would actually go up in the exchange, as long as you're cashing out at the same exchange. So, as I said, I'm not going to go through that in great detail. And so the other calculators we've got, let's have a look. We've got a really common one. Probably the most commonly used, apart from the fixed bet, most commonly used calculator is the bonus lock-in calculator, which is this one. Okay, it's got 2 modes. It's got bonus applied if bet loses and bonus applied if bet wins. Okay, so they look very similar, but the calculations are completely different. So make sure it's in the right mode. It's normally going to be loses mode. And this is for the sort of offer where let's say you bet £10 and you get a £10 free bet if your bet loses. So let's say with this one, it's very much like a free bet. Okay, it's an underlay, just like a free bet would be, underlaid compared to a normal bet with the standard calculator. So higher odds are better. So let's say, just make one up here. Let's say the back odds are 7, the lay odds are 7.8. Okay, and it's a free bet. So you get a free bet if your bet loses. So the bonus retention, I would set it to about 80%. That's if you think you could get £8 from your free bet. If you want to be a little bit less optimistic than that, or you're not trying to squeeze that much profit from it, absolutely fine. Just set it to, let's 75%. Let's say if you think you can get £7.50 from your £10 free bet. And basically what it does is it tells you, so the results here, it says the below outcomes are based on the assumption that you gain exactly £7.50 from your £10 bonus. £10 bonus is the free bet. So 75% of your £10 bonus is that £7.50 there. Tells you what to lay. As I said, it's an underlay. If you were laying a £10 bet, just with a cash bet, you'd be laying a lot more than that, a little bit less than £10. So it underlays it very much like a free bet. But obviously you're using cash, it's a different sort of offer. It tells you your liability, and it tells you the profit you'll get either way. As with all the calculators, it tries to do it so that your lay stake, gives as close as possible to the same result whether the bet wins or loses. So yeah, if the bookmaker bet wins here, you make a profit, an overall profit of £5.55, and that's just because you'll lose this so if the bookmaker bet wins, you lose this liability of £54.47, but you win your profit at the bookmaker. You're going to have 10 times 7 is £70 as your return, minus the £10 stake, so £60 profit, minus £54.47, and that's £5.53. So you don't get a free bet. It says you will not receive a bonus. You just make more profit on the bookmaker than you lose at the exchange. Make a profit of £5.53. So if the exchange lay bet wins, you'll lose £1.99 and you'll gain a £10 bonus, which is your £10 free bet. The bonus is worth £7.50. This bit here. So yeah, you lose £1.99 to start with and get £7.50 back. So £7.50 minus £1.99 is this profit. So as you can see, it's as close as possible between the two of these. Now you've got underlay and overlay modes as well at the bottom, and you've got a custom mode. I would almost always advise ignoring these. Very rarely I would suggest sort of overlaying or underlaying. They're there if you want to, and you can basically, if you underlay it, then if the exchange lay bet wins, you make no profit, and you make more profit if the bookmaker bet wins. Some people like to do that. There's almost never a reason to overlay. That means that you get no profit at all if your back bet wins, and you make slightly more, 80p more profit if the lay bet wins. So you'd almost never want to overlay it. You might want to underlay it. And again, you've got a custom one there. Just a quick tip with this one. let's say £8 won. If you wanted to lay, see what happens if I lay £7. You type in 7 there, and then you get this slider, and you drag it. You might have to move it to the right and then left again. Drag it all the way to the left, and you've got your £7 stake there. And it shows you what position you'll have, whether the bookmaker bet wins or loses. So yeah, that's the sort of offer. If you have bet £10, you get a £10 free bet if your bet loses. Very quickly, the other one you can do is if you get a £10 cash refund, you'd go for £100, 100% here. So basically, if this is you bet £10, like Sky Bet offer, let's say with horse racing, you bet £10, £10 free bet if your bet loses. Sorry, you bet £10, you get £10 in cash if your bet loses. Obviously, you get 100% of this £10 because it's £10 cash. You just set that to 100%. Now, what we'll often do with offers like that, so bet £10, get £10 full refund in cash if the bet loses. What we'll often say is use the standard calculator in free bet mode. A little bit confusing, but I will show you what I mean by this. So just to bring the standard calculator up, standard calculator, I use the same free bet mode. So £10, back odds 7, lay odds 7.8. If you have a look at the lay stake, 769, same liability, it will be £7.71 or £7.69. 771, 769. It's exactly the same, and that's because it's with a cash refund, with 100% cash refund. Then it works exactly the same as a free bet. And the reason being, in either case, whether you've got a £10 free bet or a £10 in cash, where you get a full refund if it loses, in either case, you're not losing any money if your back bet loses. With a free bet, it's not your money to start with. With a £10 full refund, you lose the £10 and get a refunded back to you. It's exactly the same as a free bet. Only difference is you're actually putting your cash up there. So that's if you're wondering why we say to use free bet SNR mode, it's because it's a pretty calculator. But it's a simpler calculator, basically. This is actually what's happening. So there you go. So that's the first mode. I'll pass you over to Chris, I think, and then I'll go into the other mode later. So you're not listening to me waffle on all night.
It makes a change for listening to me all of last week, Simon. So it's given the guys a bit of a breather from that side of things. But we'll just answer this one question that's come in so far. It's not related to what we're talking about tonight, but we can give a very, very quick answer on this. Quick question, guys, with extra place bets on horses. Do you only make profit if the horse finishes in the extra place? Quick answer is yes, you do, unless there's a bog, dogs guaranteed on that horse that's increased the odds for it. Then you'd make a little bit of profit from that way. But the only way of making a guaranteed profit is if the horse finished in the extra place. So yeah, there's videos all about extra places and such like. And next week's live is about extra places and the new extra play catcher that we've got being released. We're hoping the back end of this week. So there'd be a good catch up with Simon and Andy on that one. So tune back in next week for that side of things. Yeah, so the next calculator that we'll look at is the early payout calculator, which we use for 2-ups. Share that on there with you guys. So yeah, the early payout calculator. I get a bit of a tongue twister this time, right? We use for the 2-up offers that Paddy and Bet365 do. There's one or two others that do them now. Sky, Coral have joined the party with regards to that. But the 2-up odds are shocking in comparison to 365 and Paddy. They've got specialist markets for them on that side of things. But with regards to this calculator, always keep it in simple mode. We don't need to go into advanced mode for that. And this is where basically the team that we've backed has gone 2-0 up in the game. And we can look at what our payout will be if we decide to cash out at the point that it's at. If we're looking, most of the games that I go for 2-ups, and again, we've got another video stroke live on this in a couple of weeks' time with myself, and I was talking about 2-ups and stats and so on and so forth. Guys, but go into more detail of it. But I look for odds of over 2 for my 2-ups. So just use an example here. Placing a back bet that I've already got on with Paddy or with Bet365 for £50 with back odds of 3.5, and my lay odds were 3.4 at the time placing the bet. My team have gone 2 goals ahead. So I'd be looking at what the odds are on the exchange to be able to cash out. And let's say because of them being at 3.5, their cash out back odds would probably be round about 1.6, 1.7, maybe 1.8 at a push. Maybe being a little bit optimistic with regards to that side of things. And what we then have to do is just put in those new back odds that have come for the team. And we've got the early payout selection trigger. All we need to do is just click on that to switch it over to yes. And this will then tell us what we need to place as our back bet at those current exchange odds of 1.8 and what we'll actually make from that. So if the selection goes on to win from there, so if it stays at 2-0 to them, or our overall position would be £80 profit from that. Or if they went on to lose, wouldn't make any difference at all. Our overall position would still be £80 from that. So it just gives us an idea of what we need to be placing in order to make a profit from the current situation of that game. Now, if that team were at 2-1 when you decide to cash out, we know that those back odds would be higher. It'd probably be at about 2.5, 0.6, somewhere around there. So this tells us what we need to do in regards to the odds being higher. So £70 back bet on exchange. So all it's basically doing is just reducing the amount of lay stake that you've got placed currently, doing the calculation from that. And that gives us an overall position of £106.47. So obviously a nice higher profit that we're making because we've held on for them on that side of things. If we were deciding to until the full turnaround had happened and the odds did miraculously go back to 3.50, then we just need to match our back stake that we've done originally, which would be £50. Basically, then cancel out the lay that we've already done, and we'll be making ourselves a healthy profit of £126.47 from that side of things. So it's a great one to use when you're doing the different variations of cash outs for your 2-ups. Some people do them at 2-0, some people will do them at 2-1, some people will do them at 2-all, or some people will just let them ride. They'll place the back, place the lay, and just let them ride through till the final whistle's blown, which is the way that I do my 2-ups. But I say we'll go into more detail of 2-ups and different strategies for doing so and best ways of doing it, long-term profit, etc., from that side of things in a couple of weeks with myself and Oz on that side of things. Next calculator to really look at. So many on here to go through. The each way calculator. Do you use the each way calculator much, Simon? Because to be honest, I don't really.
I've used it to check. I mean, in customer service, I used to check people's bets and things like that. Obviously, if something, it's useful because it's static. So if you put some your odds in there, you know they're not going to move anywhere. Whereas if you have the extra place catcher and you've got the calculator in there and the odds change, things can change in there. So it's useful if you know that's the bet you got on. You want to check what your profit's going to be. You could use that for it. I've got a couple of fixes. I'll show them in a bit. It's a couple of the sort of fixer bet calculators are made to help with extra place betting, which might be useful to some people. You don't have to use them. You can just use the normal fixer bet calculator and work out the place odds. not massively difficult to do. But one of the things that I liked, the reason I wanted to do the new calculators that I made, is that one of them shows one of them kind of automatically does it for you and works out the place odds and tells you exactly what you need to do rather than having to calculate it yourself. And the other one actually works out your total overall position, including all of the fixer bet sort of bets as well. So yeah, we'll go through that one as well. Do you want me to go through if I have a look at the bonus locking calculator in the other mode, and go through an offer that actually uses that?
Yeah, and then I'll move on to probably the multi-lay bets calculator after that, Simon.
Sounds like a plan. Okay, so bonus locking calculator, that's one example. As I said, in loses mode, often you'll have a free bet, 80% retention, for example. Higher odds are better. So if you have a look at this, you've got 7 and 7.8. You've got a profit just under £6. Okay, if we go up to silly high odds, 15, 15.5, we're up in sort of £7 territory there. If you went, obviously the liability is higher. Some people might prefer, okay, I want a lower liability. They might go for odds of 4, 4.2, lower profit. Again, £5.60, a little bit less than for odds of 7. It's a really close match here, but lower odds. So higher odds in loses mode gives you more profits. It's just the same as a free bet, basically. So the other mode you've got is wins mode. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll clear some of these things out. Now in wins mode, it's slightly different. So basically, this is I'll show an example to start with. This one here. An actual offer. It's a daily offer. It looks fantastic, not quite as good as it looks, but it's a decent offer. Mainly, I would say to combine with another offer rather than to use in its own right, because you see it's a daily offer. You'd think, wow, they're giving out loads of value, loads of £5 free bets. The way it works is 888 Sport, and you bet £10 and you get a potential. You get a £5 free bet if it wins, which sounds fantastic. Only it's a minimum odds of 5 for this one. It's got to be pre-match bet, so £10 pre-match bet. The combined odds, you can do single or accumulator bets, which could be useful if you're doing an offer that has accumulators in it. But you need to know that the total odds, the combined odds, need to be 5.0 or greater. The reason being, I'll show you why they have minimum odds of 5 for this offer. So yeah, calculate is, so this is one way of doing it. Calculate these bets as normal using the standard calculator, etc., etc. More information there. Maximum 1 free bet per day. So the standard way of doing it is just to back a £10 bet and hope that it wins and that you get a free £5 bet. You take a qualifying loss and get a free £5 bet. What we'll often say, we'll link this offer to another 888 offer, because if there's another bet £10 offer, you can combine the two. So you can trigger the other offer, and if your bet also wins at odds of 5 or higher, then you also trigger this offer. So for that reason, if you're doing an offer with 888, it may well work out better. Another offer, not this one. It may well work out better if you go for odds of 5 or higher, if at all possible, because then you have the chance of getting this one. Now, the way to lock in, if you were to have a look at this particular offer to see if you can actually lock it in, just using this offer on its own rather than combining it, what you would do, you could use the bonus locking calculator. So bet £10, maximum bonus is 5, and it's a free bet. So I would say you've really got to aim for £4 profit from this one. So I'm going to leave that at 80%, just because it's very, very tight whether it's going to be profitable or not. Now I'll show you one that's not eligible. So back odds of 2, lay odds of 2.1. So just to stress, this is not an eligible bet. And you can see there's a nice £1.43 profit. Say nice, it's modest, but a £1.43 profit with lower odds. Now, 888 are giving this much value away, and the reason being, the higher the higher the odds are, the worse the profit you get when you're in wins mode. It's the opposite of loses mode. So minimum odds of 5. So if I get even, a very, very close match, 5, back odds of 5, layers of 5.1, which is extremely close match, you're only locking in 60p there. That's about as good as you can expect. Perfect match, you're getting, no, that's 56. Perfect match, you're getting 80 pence profit. that's the best you can lock in on this one without getting an ARB, which you obviously you don't want to do. ARBs where the back odds are higher than the lay odds. So there's very, very small sort of margin there. If you go up to sort of 5.5, you can see it's not actually possible to lock in a profit on it. So it just shows, you know, how close you have to be, how close the back odds and layouts have to be for this to work. But it's a useful thing to have a look at as a guide to see whether it's a value bet. If you go to something like odds of 10 and 10.5, you're making a loss on it, even though it's a really, really close match. It'd be great for in losers mode, but in wins mode, you make your loss here. So mine at the 5 pence loss or 10 pence loss. So that's that one. Some offers are going to be better than others. If it was a £10 free bet, that's much better. So £10 free bet if it wins. Again, you've got the lower odds better. So go back down to 5.5. You've got, again, it's a fairly modest profit, but it's going to be better than that, which is a loss. Okay. So that's another calculator. So in wins mode. So just make sure you have got the correct mode when you're doing this as well.
Okay. I think about 95% of the offers that use the bonus locking calculator are based on losses. They're not based on the wins one. Basically, because, like Simon's just said, that the profit just isn't there on them at all. So our guys don't really look for the bonus offers where you'll get it if it's a win, unless it is just an odds of 2.5 that you can get away with. Anything over odds of 4, you're going to struggle to make a profit. But it's worth using alongside other offers for sure. So still opt into it on 888 when you're on there doing your horse refund race, or you're doing the NFL bet builders, anything like that at all. So it's worth opting into, but just take it as a bonus. Don't try and lock in a bit of additional profit from it, because in all honesty, it's just really not worth the time and hassle of doing so. If you're doing it on a horse refund race, just do your normal back lay on that side of things, or use the racing refund calculator. And if your horse happens to win, you can have a bonus of an extra £5 free bet on there to use at some point. So definitely worth opting into, but I wouldn't go purposely looking for that offer and doing it, because yeah, you're going to have really, really close matches to be able to make a profit from it on that side of things, which again isn't great for account health on that side of things, and can lead down the gubbin tracks for it. So because you're going to stand out like a match better doing that offer every single day. But yeah, combine it with other offers, absolutely perfect. But don't go hunting for it. Would be my advice with regards to that.
Yeah.
I said we'll have a look at the multi lay calculator now. Reason for I'm going to look at this one, and then I'll go on to the bet builder one as well. After this is because this is where we get a lot of confusion coming through from people of when to use the multi lay bet calculator. It's basically if there's more than one outcome from your back bet that it's looking at. So most of them would be things like a correct score. So it might be something like Liverpool to win 1-0, 2-0, or 3-0 from that side of things. This is where we'd have to look at using this calculator, because there's 3 permutations that could happen with that game. So we'd need to look at the 3 different outcomes for it on there. I'll put the third one on there. Again, we just leave it in normal mode from that. Most of the time, offers like that, I've got a maximum of a £10 back bet, and William Hill pretty much do this offer quite on a regular basis of a team to win 1-0, 2-0, or 3-0, and they'd offer odds of, let's say, 4 for that. So if we were looking at 1-0, 2-0, and 3-0. That the outcomes that are being offered by William Hill or whichever bookmaker it would be with regards to that. We just need to go onto the exchanges and find out from the correct score market what the lay odds are for each of those. Even though we've got back odds of 4 on there, that is because there are 3 possible outcomes for it. So you might see that the lay odds for 1-0 are at 10, for example. And you'd be thinking, crikey, that's pretty high. That's going to be way offline. But it won't be, because it's got to take into consideration the other 2 outcomes as well from it. So we'd then have to the 2-0, which might be at 12, for example, and then 3-0 might be at odds of 20 from that side of things. So this would then give us the overall liabilities, lay stakes that we would need to put on each of these outcomes to cover the possibilities for it. So on the correct score of 1-0, odds of 10, we'd have to put a lay stake of £4 on there. On the 2-0, we'd need to put £3.33, and at 3-0, we'd have to put a lay stake of £2 on there. That would then give a total liability of £30.67, which you'd get your shared liability for as well, because it's all on the same outcomes of the game. So it would take the highest liability that's needed to cover any of those, which ironically would be the 10 and the 20, but work out exactly the same from that side of things. So you'd have just one lot of liability being used. Your overall position for that would be 67p. So we would know from that boost from William Hill or whoever it may be doing that just isn't worth getting on, because we're not making a profit from it. However, if we were to find that the score for 3-0 was actually at 15, for example. Nope, that still doesn't work. Let's reduce that one to 8. Yeah, that works. So if the lay odds for 1-0 were 8, 2-0 were 12, and for 3-0 were 15, again, it would just tell us what our lay stakes are for each of those. And we can see that we would actually make a profit from this. So we'd make a 95p profit from this offer. So it is worth getting on that price boost that's from the bookie, because we're making a profit from there. But it tells you exactly what lay stake you need to be putting on each of those outcomes to be able to cover the 3 outcomes from the bookmaker side of things. So, but a lot of people get confused with regards to this side of things. I'm thinking they need to use it for bet builders because they've got multiple parts of a bet on there. It's not used for that, because you've got separate parts to make up your bet. With the multi-lay calculator, it is basically just there because you've got multiple outcomes of the same market. We've actually got a question that's come through. Perfect timing with regards to this. So
that'll be me, Chris.
Rory McIlroy or Jon Rahm to be top European point scorer is at 3.25. The lays for each of them are at 6.2 and at 6.4. So we can quickly put that in. We'll keep the lays at that. We'll remove that lay there. So let's put that as Rory, because I can't spell his surname, and that one as John. Back odds are 3.25 for this, and Rory's are at 6.2 for the lay odds, and Jon Rahm is at 6.4 with regards to this. So from every £10 bet that we do on that, for Rory to be the top European point scorer, would have a lay stake of £5.24 on that. For Jon Rahm, his lay odds at 6.4 would have a lay stake of 508p for that. So we'd lock in for a profit of 31p for every £10 that we can get on that. I'm not sure if there is a maximum with Coral. There may be, but I wouldn't be 100% positive with regards to that. So you may be able to get more than the £10 on. If you can get £50 on it, absolutely great. You'd be locking in profit of £1.60 from that side of things. A lot of people always say to us, "Oh, it's only profit of £1.60. That's not really worth doing." For the 20 seconds that's taken me to put on there, another 30 seconds to probably do the back bet, and 30 seconds or so. If we called it maximum of 5 minutes to do that bet, that's going to be giving you an hourly rate of about £15 based on that side of things. So all these little profits that we do along the way are what make up our overall profit overall. So the little and often parts of it, as I've always mentioned, are worth doing just from that side of things. So yeah, £1.60 profit from £50 might not sound a lot, but for the 5 minutes it's going to take you to do that, it's a great return from doing it. So thank you, Facebook user. Not sure who is that actually put that in. Don't actually see names come up.
It was me.
Was that yourself? Was it Simon? Facebook user Simon.
Yeah, I'm anonymous as well.
And putting that up on there. So yeah, that's a great help with regards to that side of things.
Yeah, so with the multi-leg calculator, basically you use it when you've got it's an or bet, so it's this or this, so 1-0 or 2-0 or 3-0, mutually exclusive. You can only have one of them happening in the same market, and only one of them can happen. So that's what you can use that. Yeah, Lee. We got actually, if you go onto YouTube, you get your name coming up. Privileged.
That's quite cool.
Yeah, you can do. As I put on the forum how you can actually get your name showing up on Facebook. You have to authorize StreamYard to put it up, but a lot of people just prefer to go by Facebook user, which is fine. But thanks, Lee. Yeah, so it's why Profit Accumulator as a name made so much sense to me. Yeah, that's the original name of Outplayed. So we've moved on. The boss liked the name Outplayed, various reasons. So yeah, we are one and the same. But yeah, you got to get used to something. But yeah, it's Outplayed now. Outplayed.com. But thanks for that, Lee. One thing I will say about, if I just sort of go back very quickly to the bonus locking calculator, I'll just present one thing I was going to mention, just very briefly. So here we go. Bonus locking calculator. So in wins mode, so let's say you've got this offer, back to this one again, which I've said looks better than it is, let's be honest. So let's say you found a bet and you think, well, I'm not going to use the locking. I'm not going to lock in a profit. I'm just going to back and lay it and hope that the bet wins. It's only worth doing that if it's a value bet. Okay, so one way you can check to see whether it's a value bet is to stick the numbers into the bonus locking calculator and see if it comes up with a profit. If it does, let's say you had something like 5 and 5.2, 5.2 or 5.1. Let's say you had a really close match, 5.2. You can see you can lock in a profit, which means that if you backed and laid it, and backed and laid it for a small qualifying loss and hoped that the bet won, it would be a value bet. So let's say you're backing and laying a £10 bet using the standard calculator. You get a £5 bet if it wins. You can lock in a profit on it, so therefore it's going to be worth doing it. It's going to be plus EV basically to do the bet, even if you're not using the bonus locking calculator. Whereas if you go for 5 and 5.5, you can see you can't lock in a profit, so it's probably not going to be profitable to back and lay it and hope that the bet wins, even though it's a really close match at close to minimum odds. One thing to note is that locking in a profit like this, you are going to lose a little bit of value if you lock in a profit using one of the calculators. So these marginal ones, let's say 5.4, that's probably going to be profitable to back and lay a £10 bet at odds of 5 and hope that it wins just using the standard calculator. That's probably really confusingly put, but it's a way of kind of gauging the value. even if you can't lock in a profit on it. So yeah. Whereas if you go for like odds of 5 and 6, £1 loss locking in, there's no way that's going to be profitable, even just sort of backing and laying and hoping your bet wins. So I've waffled on about that enough, I think. Had you got another calculator you're going to go through, or do you want me to go through the next one, Chris?
If you want to go through the next one, mate.
Yep, I shall have a look, see what we've got. Better share the screen again then. So present, share screen. Let's actually select what I'm doing. Yeah, I've done. Okay, so tools, advanced calculators. So we've gone through a few of them. Now we've skipped over the refund if calculator. Used to use it all the time. Very, very rarely used these days. So I'm not going to mention that one. It's got a guide there. So if you do find something that needs it, if it says use a refund if calculator, there's a guide there. Probably largely going to be wasting time to go through it. We used to have bookies that used this all the time. Paddy Power had, you get a free bet if a certain player scored a goal or something like that. Sometimes you could lock a profit in. It was a really useful calculator, but the nature of the offers have changed. People have gone into different ones. Each way calculator is something to cover really when we get to probably the extra place offers. So I won't go through that one. It's basically the same that's in the extra place catcher, but it's, as I said, it's a static one. You can stick the results in, stick the odds in there, and they're not going to change or anything. So it's a useful one to use. I will go through very quickly a couple of calculators I made that help if you've got an underlaid bet with an each way bet that's underlaid. Racing refund calculator is a nice one. So this, again, there's a guide. It's a forum post guide, this one. So this is, for example, these come up quite a lot. If you have an offer where you bet £10 and you get a free £10 bet if your horse comes in second place. So what you would do is, let's say you'd find a horse back odds of 5, win lay odds of 5.5, let's say quite a close match. 2 place lay odds, what about 5 is, let's say 1.9, something like that. Yeah, so okay, so basically this one you can lock a profit in on it. There are different ways to do these offers. So one way to do an offer like this, bet £10, get a £10 free bet if your horse is second, is just to use a standard calculator, back and lay your bet, back odds 5, lay odds 5.5, back and lay it for a qualifying loss and hope that your horse comes second. Absolutely valid to do that. The long-term value is actually better than using this, but some people like to lock in a profit. Absolutely fine. It just really reduces the variance because you can lock in a profit every time if the odds are good enough. So for this one, what you do is, one thing to stress as well is you're either going to use the racing refund calculator or you'll use the standard calculator. You wouldn't start using the standard calculator, calculate your win lay bet, and then think, okay, I'm going to lock in a profit on the place, because your win lay bet's going to be wrong if you do that. So let's say you decided you want to lock in a profit on this offer. It's a £10 free bet. Let's say you think you can get 80%, so £8 profit from your free bet, and it tells you what to lay. You'd lay 2 different bets. You'd lay a £7.64 bet against the horse to win. You just place the £10 back bet on the horse to win on the eligible race. You don't do an each way bet or anything like that. Just £10 bet on the horse to win. Back odds of 5. And then you lay £7.64 against the horse in the regular market, which is the win market at the exchange. And then you'd need to find a 2-place market because it's the second place. Tells you which one to use. You might need to use Betfair for this one, in which case there would be some commission. Could be 5, could be 2%. You lose a bit of profit there, but it's still profitable. And then you lay £4.32 on this 2-place market. It's not an each way market, it's just literally the place market. You're laying the horse to finish in the top 2 places. You might have a second and third place, in which case you lay the 3-place market, second, third, and fourth place. The more places are covered by it, the better it is, basically. And then you would get, you'd lay the 4-place market. The important thing is not to lay too many places. If you were to have a refund, if your horse finishes second or third, you should not lay the 4th place market, because if your horse is 4th, you lose both bets basically, and you lose quite a bit of money. So just be aware of that. The guide's in there in the post anyway. So yeah, that's another one of the calculators, a really useful one if people want to lock in. It's not essential, as I said. You can just back lay and hope. Absolutely valid to do that. Right, would you like to do the next one, Chris?
Yeah, well, as I said, before looking at the multi-lay calculator, we'll have a quick look at the bet build one that good friend and colleague Ollie has set up for us on there. It's in the advanced calculators area, just on tools. Advanced calculator is down the side. This is probably one of my favourite calculators at the moment, because there are so many bet offers out there. 88 Sport, 365, Betfair, Paddy. The list just goes on and on and on. And probably the one at the moment is 88 Sports, especially with the NFL season that's now kicked off from there, and also with a lot of weekend games they'll put on bet builder options for us as well. But this just makes life so much simpler. With 88 Sport, there isn't a minimum amount of selections you have to do for them, but there is a minimum odds for them. It's normally 3-1, so 4.0. To get to 4.0 and keeping each leg odds down, I personally would be looking at 3, possibly 4 selections with regards to that. It just gives more opportunity for those events to happen, even though you're after 4 of them. Because the odds will be lower for each event, it gives more probability of that event actually happening. So overall, it does work out a little bit better from that side of things. But all this does, it just tells us for 4 selections, all we need to do is look at Team A, so Blackburn Rovers, Team B against Leicester. If we did over 0.5 goals for Blackburn, over 0.5 goals for Leicester, so that's scoring 1 or more each. But then if we counteract that with Blackburn to score under 1.5 goals and Leicester to score under 1.5 goals, the only outcome that can happen from that is 1-1. Because they've got to score over 0.5, so they've got to score a goal, but they don't have to. They can't score more than 1 goal for back 3 to come in. So all we need to be doing is laying a correct score of 1-1 on the lay markets. So it just makes life so much easier instead of having to sit there going, all right, I need to do X, Y, Z, 1, 2, and 3. How then do I create as a lay bet? Ollie's come up with this bet build help. It's just so simple and makes so much sense with regards to doing bet builders and the way that we can sort of cheat the system a little bit in regards to that side of things. I'm just going to take out the others. So one that we like, or I like myself, is where you're just going to make 2 selections from them, and there's no minimum odds or anything like that. It might be minimum odds of 2.0 in order to qualify. Coral's a prime example for that one. And we can just do simply Team A to win, both teams to score no. There's already pre-made markets for that on all of the exchanges, MatchBet, BetDAQ, soon to be Pocket Bet from what I understand from latest communications from them as well, that there's more markets being added to them. So hopefully this will be one of those markets. But yeah, it's just simply the markets there built for it, and we can just do bet builders so much quicker than what we used to be able to. We used to have to sit down and work out what all the permutations together would be and what our lay would be for it. Now we can just go in to this bet builder helper and it tells us. So even something like doing a draw both teams to score no. Well, the only outcome from a draw and both teams to score no is 0-0. So that would be our lay for that side of things. So it is just a really nice, simple calculator and gives us all the answers that we need from that side of things. I think, again, another one at the end of the month that Simon and to be announced, his colleague for that one, going through bet builders and the ways to do them and ways not to do them at the end of the month. So another one to tune into with regards to that.
The to be announced might be me again. It's just me. We will see. I might be flying solo. We'll have a look. Hopefully I'll have a colleague, but we'll see. Right, so I think probably a good idea to have a look at some of these hidden calculators that you mentioned, Chris, earlier, just to show that they do exist. Because the advanced ones you can see, there are guides for them, and they're much more visible. So what I'll do is I'll share screen again, just to show where these are found. Okay, so what you would do is you go to the forum. Okay, so forum first of all, and then sports training. Okay, so I'll close some of these tabs. Okay, so calculator guides is where they are. Okay, so this has guides for like the racing refund calculator, the multi-lay bets calculator, which you've covered, early payout. Oh, this is a slightly different one, Dutching early payout calculator. That's really quite niche. Have a look at that if you do any Dutching with your early payouts, but I'm not going to mention that. Dutching football, you need to do three different outcomes, back lay, and so you back the two different teams to win, two different bookies, and then you back the draw as well with the third bookie. So that's a lot more advanced. But some people, if you choose to do that, just be aware that it does exist. So if, let's say, you're for some reason Dutching, which some people do, Dutch three different teams. Let's try two different teams and the draw with in a football game, and is the extra place offer. Then you can use that calculator. It does exist, and that's one of the calculators that's actually under the advanced calculators. So that's the guide there for that. Dutching calculator, again, that's one that's there. Dutching's used sometimes, things like tennis. I think we'll probably cover Dutching in more detail when we get to sort of do a tennis live. The advanced fixer bet is something I'll come on to in a moment. These are mine, these with me on there, my face there. So there are two that I mentioned. This one here, so the each way calculator with fixer bet for parlay bets, and the very similar parlay fixer bet with place bet option. Okay, so this basically it's a spreadsheet, and that's the reason it's not up. It's I try to make it look as much like the actual calculator that's on the website as possible. So basically what it is, the guide sort of shows you through it. Let's say you've got a parlay bet, you've got a £20 stake, and this is just screenshots, it's not the actual calculator, but it points out it makes the point. Put it into parlay mode, and then, so let's say back odds of 7. I've put back commission of 5%. I'm not sure why I've got back commission in there, but there we go. And then you would have two different modes. You can have it in parlay, you can have it in parlay mode, which is to lay the win part, and parlay place, which is to lay the place part. So it automatically works out your back odds, which are 2.2, back odds of 7, 1/5 odds, place odds are going to be 2.2. It's basically 6 divided by 5, add 1 to get 2.2, but that does it automatically. So you set it to that, and it tells you what you need to do to fix it. So you can fix the win part if it's in parlay mode. So 7 layers of 7.8 for the win odds, and it tells you what you need to lay. If you're doing the place part, what you do is you change it, keep the back odds the same. This is the back odds for the horse, so 7. It automatically works out your place odds of 2.2, and then you just put in 2.3 odds for your place odds there, for example, and you've got a couple of different lay bets in place for the place bets, and it tells you what you need to lay and the overall position as well. So That's how that works. You can just use the regular fix a bet to do this instead. But this does it kind of all in one place. You can fix the win part and then go and fix the place part. It's the quicker one to use than the other one, which is a very similar one. It's this one. Again, it's Excel format basically, so spreadsheet format. You can use a free spreadsheet package. It should work on those as well. Okay, so this one, again, you fill it in, and the difference is, so you fill in the place, the win parts. Let's say you've got 3 different win bets that you parlayed with your stakes there, and your place bets are also partly laid. You made a right mess of it, or something's happened that's calamitous. You've got these 2 lay stakes there, and it tells you exactly what you need to do. So place lay bet £6.8, liability. This is the new liability, it would be £9.12. And the thing with this one that's different to the other one is that after fixing all these bets, all these parlays on, it actually tells you the overall position, taking into account all of the different bets. So if you've got a problem with parlayed each way bets, this calculator might be helpful, but the guide's there to kind of go through it. So that's one of them. What I'll do is I will actually bring up, I'll pass you back to Chris for a moment. I'll bring up the actual calculators to sort of go through them, because I need to sort of get this from my computer.
Yeah, well, Simon's going through that and looking for other ones. I mean, we call these advanced calculators, and they're not sort of really advanced in the way of being used. They're just different to the standard calculator that's there and can be used for different offers. So they're advanced in the context of they do a bit more than what the standard one does, is the reason for them on that side of things. But yeah, if you're struggling, as we always say, just jump onto customer service, come through to some live chat, Facebook, emails, and we can point you in the direction on the calculator that you do actually need for a specific offer. So most of these, in fact, all of these calculators, apart from sort of the fix a bet calculator, which is self-explanatory, are for specific offers. So the bonus locking calculator is there for you get a free bet if your back bet loses, and we can lock in some profit with regards to that. The early payout calculator, specific for 2-ups, the each way calculator, refund races, that they all help with regards to that. While someone's looking for the other calculator that he wants to go through, I'll just do a quick one on the DDHH calculator, which is Betfred's offer of Double Delight, Hat-Trick Heaven that they do. A lot of people ask, how do you work out the odds and what the payout's going to be if we do get the first goal scorer and then goes on to be the second and then goes on to be the third? A lot of people think it's just literally doubling the odds that are presented to us, which it's not a case of. It's a case of having to take 1 away from decimal, doubling that, and then adding the 1 back on, which we don't even have to worry about because this calculator does it for us. So if we were looking at, I don't know, let's say Mo Salah to score first goal, his back odds are 5.5 and his lay odds are 6 for that. Our lay stake would be £9.17 based on that. So that would be our actual lay stake that we'd put in there. Some people will underlay this offer, so they might just do £8 on that. Some people will just do an exact match for match on there. So they'll back 10, they'll lay 10 with it. So it doesn't give any sort of loss if he doesn't score the first goal. It covers us from that, because obviously with DDHH we need him to score the first goal to be able to trigger the bet from that. But if we did the actual lay stake that it was telling us to do, if he happened to score first, for an 85p qualifying loss from that, so we'd be hoping then that they'd go on to score the second goal. If they were to score the second goal, we'd be then getting a profit of £44.15. And if you happen to go on and get the hat-trick heaven, be a profit of £89.15 from that £10 bet that would have from there, because obviously you've got to take off your liabilities and so on and so forth for it. So on that side of things, it's a great calculator. It just gives the very quick calculations with regards to that. If, like some people do, they'll do a back of 10 and they'll match the lay at 10 as well. If he happened to score first, we'd lose £5 from that. But if he happened to go on to score a second, third, would then get the £40 profit and the £85 profit. If he doesn't score first, we haven't lost anything at all from that side. So it can be a little bit riskier doing it that way. But it's the way that some people do like to do the offer. Myself, I will just do the standard lay stake as it tells me to. For the sake of 85p, 83p, worth getting on there for that side of things, and hoping that they go on to do the double delight and the hat-trick heaven side of it. So then we've got time for just one more from Simon for calculator side of things, if he's managed to find the one he was looking for.
I managed to find a few. I'll go through. Which one shall I go through? I'll have a quick fire, sort of go through a few different ones just to show what there are, and then go through one in a bit more detail. Just about squeeze it in. Right. Okay, so I'll just share the screen again. Okay, so back to the guides. So the advanced fixer bet is one of them. So you can just click on it and download it, and it basically brings it up. So what this is basically, it's a fixer bet calculator, and what you do is, I made this basically to help us and customers as well. But basically, it's if we get a customer who's got lots and lots of back bets and lay bets on the same outcome, you know, a bookie and an exchange, you've cashed out, you've reversed the cash out, you've placed too much as a back bet, you've laid it, you've got a right mess of bets. It can be really difficult to work out what to do. So I made this to sort of solve problems like that. So I'll come up with an example for this one. Let's say you've got a £50 back bet, odds of 5, and bet type is just a normal bet. It's got free bet mode as well. Now, it looks really complicated. You can have up to 8 different back bets here. The reason being, it just leaves it open to the possibility of, you know, more options, basically. So let's say you've got a lay bet that you placed. You laid £89 for some reason. Odds of 5.8. If you just had that, it says fill in all the boxes. You have to press enter. Okay, so basically, this is just a regular one. You've overlaid the bet. So back bet £50, back odds of 5, layers of 5.8. You've laid £89. You can see the lay stake is bigger than the back stake, and it says your overall position. What, you know, you think, well, where do I stand? And the overall position is if your back bets win. So if this bet wins, the £50 back bet wins, you'll lose £227 because you've laid way too much. Okay, and if the lay bets win, you win £39, which is great, but there's a realistic chance you're going to lose £227. So obviously this needs fixing, and it says your bet is overlaid and you need to place a back bet to fully match this. So let's say the current exchange back odds, you'd cash out at the exchange probably. You could do it at a bookmaker, but let's say the exchange back odds are 5.2. Current exchange back odds, and it tells you what you need to do. So you place a back bet of £51.19, and then you end up with a nasty loss of £12.20, because basically you've got the back odds of 5, layers of 5.8. They're quite high, quite a big difference. But the point is, you're not risking losing £227. You're going to lose £12.20 no matter what happens. That's you're safe from losing that. It works as well. Let's say you'd done that, you'd overlaid it. You think, okay, well, I need to fix that. I'll put £40 on as a back bet. Let's say you've done that, £40 on a back bet, odds of 4.8 at the exchange. It's a cash bet at the exchange, so it's normal. And then you think, oh, well, I've overdone that, and then you lay another sort of £15, odds of 6, because the odds are moving around all over the place. Again, it just works out against your overall position. You're risking £150 there. Again, you've overlaid it, and it tells you what you need to place as a back bet. Let's say if you've backed too much, random £100 bet on at 5.2, normal bet, you've massively overbacked it. Make a lovely profit if the back bet wins, big loss if it loses. And so it says enter the exchange odds. So it ignores this and you just use this. So let's say this is 6.2. It ignores that. That's irrelevant. And then it says what you need to do. You place a lay bet. So this is basically taking all of these bets into account. Let's say you've got these 3 back bets all on, let's say, a particular team to win a football game. Lay bets against that same football team. Made a right mess of it. And then it tells you what you need to do, basically. And it tells you the overall position. And also it breaks down the overall position of the different bets that you've got in place as well. So shows where these profits come from. So it might be useful for some people if you end up in a right panic and you think, I don't know what to do. Customer service is shut. Let's say it's after 5:30, after hours. You're not getting a response on the forum. You know, this exists, and it might get you out of a bit of a pickle. So that's one of the calculators. Very quickly, other ones that are there. There's a Dutch and lay calculator, which is almost certain you'll never ever use it, but it may come in useful for certain fairly niche scenarios. Basically, if you've got several different back bets and you need to place a lay bet as well, you never know. This exists, and the reason I made that is because of the Bet Matcher calculator, which is probably a more useful calculator. So this one basically is the one that Chris was talking about. I'll just get the Excel version. This one here. So basically what this is it tells you how to lay certain bets. You've got different options. So let's say it's an Asian handicap, a bit of a pain to work out how to lay Asian handicaps sometimes, to understand them. Asian handicap, a plus 0.5 handicap, so you can fill in different options, minus 0.5, minus 2.5, and it tells you what to do. So the back bet is Leicester City minus 2.5. It won't say Asian handicap necessarily, but if it's Leicester City minus 2.5, it'll be an Asian handicap. The lay bet, nice and straightforward, is Leicester City minus 2.5 on the Asian handicap market, but you've got different options as well that you could go for as well. Different options you've got as well. So it could be a European handicap. Now this is one that's come up fairly recently. I think somebody had a bet like this. Theirs was slightly different to this, but it was let's say a +3 handicap. So Leicester City +3. Basically, they give Leicester City a 3-goal advantage. They add 3 goals to Leicester City's final score and see whether they win, lose, or draw. Now, you might not find the Leicester City +3 handicap market. If you do, then you just lay it. But if there's only an Asian handicap market, then it tells you what you can lay there. Okay, so let's say you're backing Leicester +3 as a handicap. The lay bet would be +2.5 Asian handicap. +2 is +1.5. Now you can see this is always 0.5 lower, 0.5 more negative than this one. So if you had, it doesn't go up to 17. Let's say there's an example. If it was something +17 points, then the lay bet would be +16.5. Negatives work differently, like this, -3, and again it's 0.5 more negative. Okay, so -3, you would lay -3.5. Very, very confusing. Probably best to ask us about it, but this exists just to check different bets. You've got different markets as well. Corner handicaps, draw no bets, little notes section at the bottom as well. You can check which team you're going to have, Ipswich or Leicester. And also different ones. You've got double chance. This is a tricky one to get your head around. So handicap, let's say handicap. Okay, let's say you've got a bet. I think Quiff do it times, or different bookies. Ipswich Town 0-2. You know, what on earth does that mean? It's basically a European handicap, and this is how you can deal with it. Basically, different options as well. Exact goals, 4 exact goals, and it basically tells you how to lay these different things. So yeah, that might come in useful for certain bets. Quiff, it was designed for Quiff really, but that's something that might be useful for you. And there's some other ones as well. I won't go through them in detail. The reason I came with the Dutch and lay calculator is because certain bets you might need to use it. This is an example bet there. It's in the guide. Multiple selection Dutching calculator guide. The reason you might have that is, let's say you've got the normal Dutching calculator has up to 3 ways. For some reason, you might have a 7-way market. So I went up to 40, which is crazy. It's not necessary at all to go to that. And that's in case you wanted to Dutch the entire field at the Grand National. Don't do that. But anyway, it's there if anybody wanted to try to do that. But it's just in case there's any scenario where you need to Dutch more than 3 different outcomes.
There aren't many scenarios that you will, guys, with regards to that. But Simon must have been having a quiet evening at home and decided, yeah, let's see how far we can go with this, and just did multiple options with regards to that.
What it was, I made a 30 place one. I made a 30-way one just because it was silly, and I posted about it on our Slack channel, and I said, I've done a 31, so you can Dutch the full field in the Grand National if you want to. And then somebody, one of my esteemed colleagues, mentioned that there are 40 horses, or up to 40 horses in the Grand National. So I went back to the drawing board and put those extra 10 different ways in, which yeah, again, almost never use it, probably never ever use it, but it's there. Bonus lock and fix a bet might be useful. This is if you've underlaid a so 2 different modes, losers or wins modes, same as the other one. And if you've got a part laid, only works if you've part laid. If you've overlaid it, you'd need to use the regular fix a bet and work out what to do. But let's say you've used a bonus locking calculator and you've got a part laid bet. The standard fix a bet doesn't quite give you the right results for it, so this might be useful for those sort of bets. The Unibet calculator I came up with just because some people find the Unibet offer a little bit confusing in terms of where their profits come from. Again, there's a guide, and this basically guides you through each stage. There's a qualifying bet, you enter that in, and it automatically populates this as you go through. You can, I won't go through it, but I lost it. There we go. So you fill it in, it tells you what to do, and it tells you what your overall position is at each different stage. So if you wanted to see how the Unibet offer works and exactly what's happening in each stage and exactly where your profits come from, then that might be a useful thing to have a look at. Final one is this beast of a spreadsheet, which again, you may well never need to use, but just to make you aware that it does exist, there's a detailed guide with it as well. And this basically is a way to lay different sorts of bets. So you've got single bets, you've got doubles. Single bets is just the standard calculator. Doubles is accumulators, trebles, fourfolds, 7-fold accumulators. This is just the same up to 8-folds. This is just the same as the standard ACCA calculator, basically. The reason I made this though is because there are other types of permutation bets that you have, which you need to have a read about to see what they are. So Trixies, Patents, Yankees, and it is possible to lay these all the way up to, if you are mad, Goliath bets. And all you need to do is you do it. You have to lay sequentially, so 1 leg at a time. This is not something you'd ever want to do, probably lay a Goliath bet, but I put it there because, because it exists. So I thought I'll put it there. Lucky 15 is much more likely. You do get some offers where you might want to lay a lucky 15 bet, and this just shows that it is possible to do it, and you don't have to lay. Lucky 15 is 15 separate bets, but you don't have to lay 15 different bets, to do it. You just have to lay one leg, and then it tells you what to do, whether the leg wins, loses, and then it tells you what to do. So that's there. If you ever have a permutation bet, you think, well, how can I, I've got a lucky 15 offer, can I lay it? Well, yes, you can if you want to. Yankee offers as well, for example. All different sorts of things there. If you ever had that sort of offer.
Few and far between. Right, guys, we've overrun by quite a bit this evening. Which we thought we would do with the amount of calculators that are there. But thank you for sticking with us, as always. As always, it's be put onto our forum for you guys to watch at any point and be posted on the Facebook pages and available on YouTube to watch at your leisure. For those that haven't managed to join us tonight and are watching it at a different time, thank you for taking the time to do so. So, yeah, next week you've got Simon and Andy back from his lovely week off in Kos that he had last week. So he's back with us and going through hopefully the new extra place catcher that we've got in and how to use that side of things. So be a nice new software for you guys to have a look at, and exciting times ahead with regards to that side of things. So there's nothing else from me this evening. So it's a good night from me, and Simon, I'll leave you to close off tonight's live that we've done.
Yeah, thanks very much. As I said, as Chris said, for joining us, whether it's live or the replay. We covered a lot of ground. Some of it in possibly more detail than people might like. Some of it possibly in less detail than you might like. Feel free to ask any questions that this has raised. You can ask it in the forum, the threads on the Facebook page. With the videos, you can get in touch with us with live chat, email, anything like that, and you can ask questions about these. And yeah, we're more than happy to explain them. But just really trying to raise awareness of the different sort of calculators and what exists behind the scenes on the forum and on the actual website. But there's plenty there. You often won't need to use them, but they do exist and they're there for a reason. It's better to have things and not need them than to not have them and feel that you have the need for them. So hopefully it's been a useful session, and there's some things you can take from it. But yeah, thanks ever so much for joining us, and we will see you at the next one. So good night.
Good night, guys. Take care.
Cheers.